All right, folks, welcome into JE Live. I am your host, of course, JE, aka Jake Ellenbogen. And today we're talking about really what to look out for, not just the players, but just in general, what to watch tomorrow for the Rams matchup against the Chargers in week 2 of the preseason. Now, you might not know this or you might know it, but first off, we'll just start off by saying their left tackle, Rashawn Slater, is out for the year, so he will not be playing. But Justin Herbert is making his preseason debut. He has never, ever played in the preseason before. So this is pretty giant news. I am a little surprised that they're doing this to go out on a limb and just, we're going to put in Justin Herbert right after we lost our left tackle. I don't know if I would advise for that. I would just say I wouldn't. So there's that. But look, I'm really excited to see Stetson Bennett tomorrow. Can you continue doing what you're doing? The Chargers are a better team all across the board than the Dallas Cowboys. So if Justin Herbert is starting, and regardless if they're better or not, if Justin Herbert's starting, their corners are likely starting. As a matter of fact, Harbaugh's confirmed that the only players that aren't starting are Derwin James and Khalil Mack. So the Rams have a beautiful test. Everything is right in front of them. They get a chance to see Stetson Bennett against, by the way, with backups, against the starters of the Chargers. I love that. I think this is a huge opportunity for the Rams. It's a huge opportunity to put really good film out there in case, you're one of those players that, you don't feel like you're going to make the Rams. Well, go out and put some good tape out there because right now you're playing with the backups. It's going to look really good if you're able to do your thing against the starters of the Chargers. So absolutely love that. You don't always get this opportunity nowadays. So it's a big deal. And we're going to see, how Bennett, what he deals with, because, he did throw an interception in the joint practice against the Saints, and he did throw an interception against the Cowboys, although I wasn't really too worried about it. And honestly, thought it was a penalty that should have been called. But when you look at Stetson Bennett, the maturation is clearly there. The growth is clearly there. And everything that we were told is just starting to feel more and more real and less BS. So he needs to go out there and continue to show that against the Chargers. And I do believe he's going to surprise people despite playing with the backups. Keep in mind, folks, I understand the Chargers have their starters going except for Mack and Derwin James. But what I will tell you is that when I said this is a deep roster, I wasn't just saying that as a buzzword. I wasn't just saying that to just say stuff. The reality is they have a deep roster, and we're going to see that tomorrow. Okay? We are going to see it tomorrow, and I am really excited for Stetson Bennett. How do you manage in the pocket against pretty much everybody starting? How do you manage decision-making? It's going to be a test for him. And guess what? He's getting there, right? He's not quite the backup because Jimmy Garoppolo is, but he's getting to that point where next year he could very well be QB2. So it's good to get him these reps. It's a big deal. So anyway, Stetson Bennett, I'm expecting to see a heavy dose of him, and he gets an opportunity. I don't think he's going to be going up against the starters that long. Maybe the first quarter. We'll see. But the idea that we get to see reps against the Chargers starters is a huge deal to me. And I am not going to let that go without saying. I don't think we see Dresser win until the very end. Looking at the running backs, I don't believe we're going to see Blake Corum. I don't think so. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of Jarquez Hunter, and I think we're going to see a lot of of course, what's his face? Now his name is totally escaping me. Cody Schrader. There we go. 32. Love the number. Totally forgot the name for a second. But Cody Schrader, I think we're going to see a lot of him. And we're going to see Waters. Jordan Waters got an opportunity at the very end of the game and showed you some physicality in the run. And so I'm excited to see him actually get a shot. We'll see what ends up happening there. As far as the wideouts go, you're not going to see Jordan Whittington. That wouldn't change. Will you see Kanate Mumfield? Will you see Xavier Smith? Absolutely. So I think you're going to get the same wide receivers as you got yesterday or last week. And I like all of them. What's interesting to me, we haven't really heard anything about True Edwards. True Edwards was a UDFA who some people thought had a shot to make this roster. And then I don't know what happened. I thought he got cut and then was brought back. He cleared his physical. So I don't know if he's going to play or not, but potentially if he does play, that's a new dynamic there that we haven't really discussed. So that's something that interests me. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Xavier Smith has this job locked up. I do. So I'm not really worried about his spot. Well, I feel really good about this player in general. Not only can he help you, in the special teams area of his game, but I think he can really help you as a wide receiver. He reminds me a ton of a Brandon Powell. And I understand some people will say, well, Brandon Powell's not like a great player in this league or anything, but he's a good player and he could get on the field with the offense. The Rams utilized him. The Vikings utilized him. I think that if he ends up being like a Brandon Powell or a little bit better, I think you have a really good player there that you got in UDFA. So that's what I would say about Xavier Smith. As far as Kanate Mumfield, I'm going to say this. I don't think his roster spot is guaranteed like I initially thought. So we're going to find out, but he needs to step up. Last week was a little disappointing as much as I like him. So we're going to find out what he can do against this Chargers team. And he is going to be going up against those Chargers stars at corner. So it'll be interesting to see how his route running ability and his ability to separate, can really stand up to those players. I think it can. And then you look at the tight ends. I don't believe, and we haven't heard anything, but I don't believe we're going to see Terrence Ferguson, unfortunately. I would love to see Terrence Ferguson. Absolutely would love it. But I am not confident we are going to see Terrence Ferguson at all. So I think, tomorrow we'll likely see Davis Allen and we'll see Redmond. But unfortunately, Anthony Torres, I believe, he is out. He actually got waived injured, so he's not going to play. So you're only going to have two tight ends. I can't imagine they're going to just throw Parkinson out there. So that's that. And then the offensive line. Warren McClendon Jr. didn't play last week, not because of injury. It's because he's likely made the team. So now you look at who's left, and you have your starting five, assuming Alaric makes the team or is put on the PUP list. Either way, we know he's going to make it. So then you look at guys like, Justin Diedick, Bo Limmer, who's still going to play in all likelihood. Dylan McMahon, he was banged up last week. Does he play this week? Willie Lampkin IV really turned heads. KT Leviston, AJ Arcuri is going to play. Wyatt Bowles, David Questenberry was great. Is he going to play? That's a question. And then Trey Wettig and Ben Dooley. I think that's something that you're looking at that and you're like, it's interesting. I think Willie Lampkin is going to make this roster. I think it's gotten to the point where basically he is so popular you can't hide him, and so I think that is going to come back and really the Rams if they end up moving on or whatever. But that's what I'm going to say in regards to that. And then looking at the the defensive line, it's a really interesting battle. We brought up yesterday on the show. It was LQ and we talked about it, and it's like, look. You got your Braden Fisk, you got Poona Ford, you got Kobe Turner, you got Tyler Davis, you got Ty Hamilton. Those guys are set in stone. That's great. But are you going to keep 6 defensive linemen? And if you're using a rotation, you likely are, right? But at the same time, this seems really good. It's hard to make a roster like this. So where do you go? And so it's going to be interesting because we don't know if the spots are available here, but Laryl Murchison versus Desjuan Johnson is a battle. And that's something I'm going to be looking out for. Jack Heflin had a really good game last week. So he's another guy that I'm looking at, probably going to be a practice squad guy. So another one to look at. Outside linebacker, really not sure what's going on there. Kier Thomas started. He got first team snaps, in the joint practice against the Saints. And of course he started against the Cowboys in that preseason game. So that's something to keep in mind there. Josiah Stewart's obviously locked in as the 3. Brennan Jackson, is he on the roster? Is he not on the roster? Well, he's likely going to play. He hasn't had a ton of reps, so he's likely still going to play. And so I would expect that. But then, you look at a guy like Jamil Muhammad, who had a really good preseason debut last week. And, you see the different options that they have. Nick Hampton is another. Hampton didn't really do much of anything. So this is a big game for him. He's really, if he wants to stick on this roster, he's going to have to prove it. And then, of course, you look at the inside linebackers. And, you saw on the cover of this thumbnail, it is none other than Sean Dolak. And when you look at the body of work, Dolak and, of course, Chris Paul Jr. flying all over the field, the hope is that the Rams are going to keep him. But is Reader's spot locked in? I'm going to assume it is. And so the Rams are really going to decide whether or not they're keeping 5 linebackers or only 4, because pretty much every spot's locked up. So that's the concern there with Sean Dolak. So I'm hoping he can do enough to be like, yeah, you got to keep me, right? And then the cornerback room, you look at, obviously they're set as far as the first 3. You have Kello, Darius, and Kobe. But then after those 3, it gets a little muddy. Emmanuel Forbes was the one that was taking first reps. So he's the next in line, I believe. And then after that, it gets kind of interesting because we saw a lot of reps taken by Charles Woods in the joint practice. We saw reps taken by A.J. Green. Cam Lampkin had a great game against the Cowboys. So it's hard to say for sure. Josh Wallace also is a wild card here because Josh Wallace is not playing cornerback, guys. He's playing in the star role. So it almost makes me wonder if they view him as he's ahead of everybody that is on the bubble because he has that versatility. They're entrusting him in that role. And I think that's a big deal. And then you have, Darion Kendrick, who it just doesn't sound like he's going to make the roster. And I like him, but that's just how it feels right now. So, looking at those guys, does Forbes play? I think that's a big question mark. He was getting first team reps in the joint practice against the Saints. I heard he didn't have the best game or best play against the Saints. So does he get reps? I do think he has the 4th spot locked up. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of number 1, Darion Kendrick. I think we're going to see a heavy dose of guys like Charles Woods and Cam Lampkin and A.J. Green. I think it's going to be pretty much like last week. And then the safeties, well, unfortunately, they're only keeping 4 safeties. Unless they want to call Josh Wallace a safety now, they're only keeping 4 safeties. That's just the reality of it. So, obviously I really like these players. I love them all back. Like a Tanner Engel, keep him on the practice squad, like a, Nate Valcarcel. But how likely is that? Well, it gets tougher, especially when you have a good roster. It's hard to do those things. So I got some super chats here I want to hit on. Are the Victory Shades back this season? Retro, I think you asked this last time. Yes, they are definitely back. Not for preseason, but I will definitely win the Victory Shades when it comes to wins this year for sure during the regular season. So I appreciate the super though. And then Tyler, do we sign Cousins if Stafford is seriously hurt? Well, Cousins is not a free agent. He's on the Falcons. That's their backup. So it's not as simple as that. But I get where your head's at. I've always liked Cousins, and obviously Cousins has familiarity with Sean McVay. But when you listen to the way they talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, if push came to shove, Garoppolo's the guy they're going down with. If he's the one that's in charge of the ship, they're fine going down with him. They believe in him. They do. Whether you do or not, they do. So I appreciate the super chat there, and I get it, but no, I think they're going to go down with the Jimmy Garoppolo ship if anything were to happen. I don't believe Stafford's seriously hurt. I believe he's going to be ready for week 1. I think the question is, how healthy can he stay, the rest of the year? And that is the big thing. But that's the thing, as I've said, with anyone in the NFL. Any given time, a guy can get banged up. That's the scary thing. That's what freaks me out. You have to have some sort of luck in the NFL. You have to get lucky. Injuries happen. Even when you do a good job, injuries happen. You put yourself in the best position to not get injured, you could still get injured. All it takes is you standing and then somebody does a barrel roll in your ankle. Just ask Kyron Williams. Cost him the first 12 games of his career. That was literally right as they were going to commercial break. And he catches a stray. He's standing right there after the kickoff. They're going to commercial break. And right as they're going to commercial break, some Bill just barrels into the back of his ankle. Boom, done. 12 games, rookie year, gone. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Those are the things I'm really, I list every position. We went through the entire roster basically, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And also, gotta mention, Matthew Stafford is, of course, doing his workout in the morning of Saturday. So tomorrow morning, he's going to do that workout beforehand. And I feel like this is going to be the one where we're looking at like, oh, okay, Stafford's good to go. I think they've been extra cautious. I've agreed with the caution. But I think we'll start to see him ramp it up, I think, this upcoming week because it's the last week of preseason, after this week. So there's that. My guy Kareem, my Yankees are currently playing his Cardinals. They're up 3-0. I have the TV right there. Not TV, it's on an iPad. That's why this will be a shorter stream because I do have to watch the game and cover it. But I had to go live for you guys. It's been a busy day, but I couldn't just not do a live stream. I was excited to do one, and then the day almost got away from me, but we're here, just like I thought. So yeah, do you think they keep a fourth running back, Schrader or Rivers? I do. And Kareem, I got to be honest with you, I didn't feel that way going into it, but I do think they're going to keep Cody Schrader. I think Ronnie Rivers will probably either be picked up because he's a vet and, he's played in the playoffs before and all of that. But I could see him on the practice squad. Schrader's the guy they're going to keep. They'll lose Schrader. They will. Somebody will add him in the 53. He's good enough to be there. Fun fact, I don't know how many of you know this, but he actually returned a kick in the game against the Eagles in the playoffs. So he was on this 53 and was actually, dressed for that last postseason game. So this is somebody that was on last year's roster, and a lot of people don't even remember that. That's just the reality of it. Troy Reader wouldn't make any other team's 53. I don't know why the Rams are infatuated with him. To me, it's a concept of they trust him, which I get. Veteran, knows the defense, all of that. They feel like he's a culture guy, which I also get. And they feel like, he's been around a while and he just fits what they're trying to do. Doesn't necessarily mean he's the best, but I like him as depth. I'm not a fan of keeping him. Here's the thing. I'm not against keeping Troy Reader and keeping 5 linebackers. But what I am against is getting rid of Sean Dolak in favor of Troy Reader. That's when I have an issue. What's up, Chach? How you doing? That's my biggest thing, right? So Jack is saying that he'll be taking this preseason game far more seriously because essentially the renters. So the LA Renters, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't see why not, unless I'm missing that was there an injury or something. Unless I'm missing there was an injury, I don't see why you wouldn't. That is really cool. 30 and a wake up. I appreciate you. Always longtime supporter of mine, so I appreciate you. I think that would be really cool. I like that connection to St. Louis, so I'm for it. Yes, I'm catching 3 by the sounds of it. So both of the 49er games and then the Lions game. So I'll be at SoFi twice this year. So I get to see you guys twice. And if we can, I'll try to do, meet and greets, yes. I mean, I'm gonna be with Roundtable Sports the first time, but then the second time with my father against the Lions, we'll definitely have to do a meet and greet with RWO. like we did last year. So, yeah. I'm excited for the season too. Trey Lance had a brace on his wrist, which is why he's not playing tomorrow. No Trey Lance tomorrow. That's a bummer. I like him. Always liked him, as you know. I made a video on him when he was coming out. That was the guy. I really felt like he was going to be something. And to be fair, he hasn't been around anybody that actually gave a rip about him, you know? So it's not like Kyle Shanahan put him in any sort of position to succeed. And I mean, let's be honest here. He only played last year for the Cowboys because they didn't want to pay the bonus to Cooper Rush for playing X amount of snaps or whatever. So, yeah, I root for Trey. I like him. So yeah, we'll definitely have to we'll have to do that. What color do I think the rival? So I'm going to stick with black. I was told it was black years ago. Obviously, things could change, and this might not even be the uniform that is the black uniform. But, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. If it's midnight navy, it could be cool. What I would like to point out is that when you like context clues are a big deal for me anyway. Attention to detail. If you look at that video when the Rams are watching or looking at essentially looking at the uniform and reacting, and some are just way over the top. It's kind of funny. You know, at the end, when they show the Rams logo, the LA is, I believe, and I haven't seen it like recently. Like I saw it when it first came out, but I haven't seen it like within the last 10 minutes, so I could be off. But the last time I checked, it's yellow highlighting, piping of the LA, blue, like dark blue on the inside and black around it. So I think it's likely going to be a black uniform with those blue numbers and yellow outline. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't. It could be blue, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be black. We'll see what ends up happening, though. Yeah. So, guys, that's all I got. But I have an announcement to make. I just spoke with my guy, LQ. You guys ask and you shall receive. So during the season, LQ is going to come on once a week on JE Live. So if you're excited for that, be sure to let me know in the comments section. Be sure to let LQ know in the comments section. We're not going to pick a set date because, as you guys know, I've never operated on a schedule because ask Alex, when I operate on a schedule, things always go south, or Jack for that matter. They know. But we're not going to do a schedule, but the point being is that every week in some capacity, I am going to have Laquan on, and I am so excited because I think he's so awesome. He's a total professional. Absolutely love having him on. And guys, I'm not an idiot. I know how to run this channel. I've been doing it since 2020. I can see when trends are happening, when they're not. And when you bring on a guest twice in like 2 weeks and your videos do well, I'm not complaining about the video, views. But when you bring on this said guest and you get 10K views on both of the live streams this guest is in, well, there you go. You got to bring that person back. So LQ and I, we were talking earlier today, and yes, we're going to bring him on once a week. I joked to him he's going to be like the Aaron Rodgers to my Pat McAfee. It's just we're not going to have a separate, a special day for him. It's just going to be, whenever we can make it work once a week. So if you guys are hyped about that, let him know in the chat. After this video, make sure to drop a comment because, man, I'm excited to have him. And And, obviously Downtown Rams isn't going anywhere. So I'll be doing the show with Alexis. That I could actually tell you the date. So we're doing that. Let's see. I'm trying to find what day it is. Is it September 5th? Yeah, September 5th. DTR comes back, Rams Texans preview. And then, since I'm just full of news, Off the Edge. If you guys remember my NFL show that I did with Cameron Lynch, yeah, we're bringing it back. So Cam, Lynch, and I are reuniting for Off the Edge. The link to that channel is on my channel. It's literally right on the front page. You can just see it's Off the Edge right there. Be sure to click that. Check it out. So I told you guys, just because I'm doing Yankee stuff and I'm, getting my life together and all this doesn't mean I forgot about the Rams content, the football content, and all of that. I did not forget about you guys. So a lot of news. DTR comes back on the 5th. Off the Edge comes back on the 3rd. And by the way, on Off the Edge, essentially Cam and I, we are going to a live format. So it will not be pre-recorded. It will be a live show every Wednesday. And we are so excited about that. I actually got the exact time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, Rams time. You can catch Off the Edge on the Off the Edge YouTube channel. Cameron Lynch and I are going to be doing the live stream, and essentially we're going to be breaking down the games. We're going to preview all the games. We're going to recap all the games. We are going to have so much fun doing it. Cam and I have a lot of chemistry, of course, as you guys know, on camera. So this has been in the works for a minute to bring it back. So we are going to bring it back. And then, of course, we're bringing back LQ every single week during the season. And DTR, of course, is coming back on September 5th. So a lot of stuff incoming, right? And I'm sure there's more on the way, like special guests and, maybe some film and who knows. The point being is we're always trying to add more here on this channel, always trying to, increase the quality. I really don't take any of you for granted. I really do appreciate, the amount of support that you guys put into this channel and what you do for JE Live. And so I am going to try and make this our best year yet, just like I always try to do. But this is going to be a little bit different. I think we're gonna catch some serious run here, because I'll tell you right now, the momentum has stopped early on in the year because the Rams have gotten off to bad starts. I don't believe the Rams are going to get off to a bad start this year. So I'm excited, really excited. We got one more super chat, and then I'll head on out of here. Vic, thank you for the 5. Can't wait for all your videos this year, Jake. Rams fans love you, dude. I appreciate that, Vic. I love the Rams fans too. I'm excited to meet you guys at SoFi Stadium. And, if you're at, the 49ers stadium, Levi's, I will be there. So that'll be November, I believe. So yeah, if you're there and you want to meet up, come say hi. But that's going to do it. So appreciate you guys again. Told you it would be a quicker one. Just want to make a quick, live stream. We covered everything. I'm normally not good at, simplifying things and not turning them into an hour-long video. But hey, we got it all done in 30 minutes or under that. So I will take that. Again, appreciate all the support. And you guys, we'll see you soon. Actually, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, that would make sense because they're playing tomorrow. Anyway, you guys take care. Later, folks.